All right, hey, this is Chris from Skella Summit, and you're watching Brutalitopia.
Hey everybody, this is Mick again from Brutalitopia, and we are here tonight in Chicago, Illinois, Bottom Lounge yet again. As you can see here with Chris Letchford from Skella Summit. Chris, how's it going, man?
Pretty good.
Good. How's the tour been going? I know you guys are with Periphery and Fair to Midland.
Yeah, tour's been really good, especially up north. Really? Like I was telling you earlier, I mentioned Michigan. Michigan was great. Believe it or not, Cedar Falls, Iowa was like shocking. They just opened a new venue there in September, and it was a really amazing show. And sadly, we already got all the West Coast dates out of the way, and those are usually like the most fun for us. Since because we're from out there. So.
You guys are based out of Houston. I was just gonna bring up, like, have you guys kind of like over your past few tours noticed like you've gotten more of a following, like maybe here or something, like in a part you wouldn't have expected, or?
Yeah, I mean, Chicago's actually always been good for us. Like, we came here, I think, 4 years ago now with God as an Astronaut when we hadn't really done anything. That was kind of like our first tour.
Sure.
But then we came back with Dream Theater, and that was kind of like sealed the deal as far as like, hey, Chicago.
We're here.
Look who it is, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
To get our name out there that way, and then we came back with BT Bam and Cynic and Devin Townsend. And
I was sorely disappointed I missed that concert, but...
Yeah, actually, there was like a whole thing that went down at the end of that show. They like kind of hustled everybody out of the venue because they had like a second show.
Oh, really?
So they were like basically like corralling all the kids out, and it turned into like a pretty big ordeal between like the bands and the club at the time. But I mean, the show is great. It's just, you know, fans will never forget that. We'll never forget that. I mean, I talked to guys that came up to the Madison show yesterday that were bringing that up, and I was like, yeah, I remember. There was nothing we could do about it, you know. So
right.
It was sad, but yeah, I mean, all the dates up here have been great so far, and I'm really looking forward to hitting the East Coast in a little
Awesome.
while. So.
Awesome. How long? Sorry for not knowing. How much longer exactly is this tour lasting? About how many shows you guys have left? Do you know?
After yesterday was our last day off. Well, we booked shows in between the tour, so we don't have any off dates for the next 15 shows. Okay. So I think total we've got 19 more shows.
Okay, there you go. Kind of moving on to obviously your guys' newer material. There's been a lot of bands releasing a bunch of new stuff here, like especially progressive kind of stuff in March. But you guys obviously released your new album, The Collective, March 1st, I believe was the release date.
March 1st, yeah.
Kind of explain for us, because I know the last time we did our first phone interview, we were kind of touching over like what Carving Desert Canyons was all about for you guys and how that recording process was going. What exactly was different from Carving Desert Canyons to The Collective? What was the main differences you noticed in the recording process?
In the recording process, well, for one, was a lot smoother. Like we were recorded with someone that was more experienced recording. I mean, Mark Lewis produces and records bands,
right,
every day, all year long.
Right.
So we went in there, and he also is a guitar player, so that made things a lot smoother as far as like, hey, we want this kind of tone, you know, like let's get rolling, and it was just very quickly done. But we actually had like full days. Like we spent, I think, a day and a half just miking and checking drums, you know, to get everything perfect, because we weren't planning on going back and reamping anything. So we spent about 8-9 hours just on guitar tones. Okay. And that was kind of nice for once, because last time it was just like me and Travis brought our amps and that was it. But we got to kind of go through and try everything they had there. We brought the Fractals as well, which we ended up only really using for like effects, like crazy effects, and then use real amps for everything else. But it was really good, man. I'm finally happy with the recording on this album. You know, obviously Monument, self-funded. Yeah. That's understandable. Carving Desert Canyon's only so much budget. You know, we move up in budget. We got a more experienced guy. So I'm really happy with the new album for sure.
Because I was going to say, I just kind of like this past week, I was kind of listening to Carving Desert Canyons and then listening to The Collective, trying to, you know, hear the apparent differences. And it seemed like, at least in the style of the music on The Collective, it seemed a lot more like refined. Like there was still like, I feel like Carving Desert Canyons was really kind of like an album for you guys to really show off your abilities and like, you know, show people what you can do. And The Collective was kind of like in a way kind of very reserved, and it's like we can do those like those really crazy parts at sometimes, but we're also like have balanced it out with many like chiller sections. Was that kind of like the pre-notion going in?
Songwriting. I think just as we all get older, and as I get older, since I'm like the main songwriter as far as, you know, writing everything out and then giving it to the guys, everything's pre-orchestrated already. You know, we're all getting older, getting more mature, you know, getting better at songwriting, I hope. You know?
Yeah,
so it's just like, it's like it's reserved, but I think it's like you said, like we've already showcased our ability, which really wasn't the goal of Carving Desert Canyons. It just so happened that that's just the way we were writing at the time. And on the new one, we wanted more dynamics, more song-esque type stuff, and just overall flow better. At least we hope it flows better. And then trying a little bit more like different stuff, you know, like Carving Desert Canyons and Monument is both like happy all the way through. So we were hoping to, you know, work out with some darker stuff.
Definitely. A thing about you guys that I find very interesting is obviously the part about being instrumental as a band. What exactly is the difference writing music for instrumentals as opposed to like having vocals in there? What's like the hardest thing, I guess I'm asking, for like writing instrumental music?
Yeah, I think that's actually a really good question, because a lot of people always, when we first started, were like, oh, you guys shouldn't get a singer, you guys should get a singer. It's like, it's way harder to write the music that we're writing to be full without vocals and actually still be entertaining, yet not boring and over technical, you know, just where people just kind of like do that whole like stare. You know, I hate the blank stare. So, you know, we don't want to be that band, you know, we still want to be entertaining and leave room so we can actually move on stage when we're playing and stuff like that and have stage presence. But
were you guys always from the get-go, like just like set out to be an instrumental band? Like that was your initial plan? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, me and Travis actually played in a band in Houston before we moved to LA for college. And at the time we had a singer. We weren't thinking instrumental, but when we went to LA, our singer and drummer didn't come with us. So we just kind of, when we started writing music again, we didn't know what we were going to play. We weren't like, oh, we're going to be this kind of band. We just started writing music. We finished Rode on Horseback was like the first song we ever wrote. And after that, we were like, oh, wow, you know, this sounds full enough. Let's try instrumental. And Pat and Jordan were actually the two that we had to convince. They didn't like the idea at first. I'm like, look, trust me. I was like,
just go with it.
It's gonna pan out. Just trust me. You know, we're all goal-minded, you know, hardworking and stuff like that. We'll make it happen to get where we need to be. And it just so happened that it worked for us, and believe me, we had like a lot of naysayers, even in school, in a music school of all places.
Really?
Oh yeah.
That kind of seems lame. It's like people putting you down in music school.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we had, you know, it's not that they were saying we were bad.
Yeah.
They were just like, oh, you guys have to get a singer or you're going to do nothing. And MI, like, they love us. I mean, they use us for commercials and stuff like that now, and it's like, because we're the first band where all 4 members went to MI and left and actually had success as a band that formed in the school. So they really like to milk the idea, I guess, that happened. But yeah, instrumental from the get-go, always going to be instrumental. I mean, if we ever do anything with vocals, it'll be something completely separate from Scale to Summit.
Cool. Another thing about instrumental music that I just kind of actually just pondered in the last couple minutes here was just like, when you guys like name tracks for your songs, do they like is that like the emotion you're trying to convey, like with, because I'm just trying to think of like how you name songs without like actually having vocals in it to convey like the, you know, the track. Like, is it like kind of like this is what we want to convey with the music? Like, is that what you guys are trying to say with the title of a track? Or
but what we do is we'll start and we'll finish the song, and then we'll sit back once it's recorded
and see how
and listen to it. And say, okay, you know, what kind of moods are we feeling? Because you never really know. Like, I write a lot of stuff and I write it down in MIDI. I play it back. That's not going to be good enough. Like, there's no dynamics. So we wait till we're finished, and then once we're finished, we kind of sit back. We all discuss kind of what we're feeling. You know, like Wales is kind of obvious. Like, Wales is just huge sounding, big and aggressive, but then it just chills out and literally sounds like Wales.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
You know, so that one's like the literal one. So that one works good. But then we got stuff like the Levitated, where it just sounds like you're floating. Secret Earth is like slow moving and huge. Origin of Species again is like more aggressive and fast paced. I mean, every song we spend. I will tell you, I think I spent about 2 hours per song, like brainstorming ideas per song. So, yeah, I got real stressed about it, because that stuff's really important to me, because you don't want to just throw something on it and then it, you know, it may not convey the message that you want. So, but you know, for us too, the one thing that I like about being instrumental is that without the singer, it leaves other people's minds to kind of wander while they're listening, kind of think of what they want to see, versus when you have lyrics, you're kind of told what to think about. So it's kind of interesting. I don't think a lot of people think about that, but when they're listening to something, they're told what to think about. So depending on your mood, it's like I change my favorite song like every night when we play. sometimes it's colossal. Like if I'm in like a more aggressive, angry mood,
Right,
it's like
right.
I just want to just go out there and just have like an aggressive song. But when I'm like super happy, I just want to kind of ride out Wales, just because it's just kind of like just an epic journey song. So
yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Just to kind of wrap up our discussion of the collective, how do you guys feel the reviews, the reception has been of the album so far, both in like the media, like reviews online and such, or like the live reception? How do you think it's been?
I think it's been really good. We were actually all like sitting back listening to the record. We're like, this is gonna take people off guard a little bit because it's more chilled out. Like it's still technical. There's nothing easy about it.
Sure.
But I don't think people were expecting like the right turn to write a lot of dark stuff. But it's just like I tell everybody that's asked me about it, fans, interviews, anything, is that we're never gonna write the same record. We don't want to have Carving Desert Canyons 2, 3, 4,
Yeah,
5,
exactly.
So, and it wasn't even a conscious decision because before Carving Desert Canyons came out, I had already written Secret Earth, Immersion, and The Levitated. Immersion and The Levitated are the two darkest songs of the record, in my opinion.
Right.
They have the very dark sound and vibe. But, yeah, I mean, I think it's been great. We've got a lot of good reviews. I've seen some mixed reviews, but most of them are just
more or less. I mean, you're always going to have the bad apples in there and everything,
but it's not even necessarily just.
Yeah, I know. Periphery's out there playing right now, and they're cheering for one more song.
Yeah.
So but we're trying to maintain our focus here, as badly as we want to go out there right now.
So anyway, with bad reviews, a lot of them, I think, for like instrumental bands in general, like the person when they listen to it, you could tell by the way that they write it that they didn't give it a chance from the get-go.
Right. They kind of already had like a vendetta against it or something.
Yeah, exactly. Like I did a couple interviews. Like I did one for Decibel magazine and what else was it? Blabbermouth, the guy that reviewed it in Blabbermouth, which he gave it a great review, but he told me, as well as the girl for Decibel, that they don't like instrumental music. But then
they just tell you that right from the start, like we don't like it.
From the start. But this is the thing, though. They're like, you guys changed my mind on the view of instrumental, which is always
I could see
nice.
that. Sure.
But we've had other bad reviews, but I mean, every band gets bad reviews because you can't please everybody.
Exactly.
Exactly. So it's like my grandmother's not going to listen to my music. If she reviewed our album, she'd be just like, oh.
It's not what it used to be.
I don't like it. And that's fine. Like, some people just don't understand it. It's just too different, too outside the box. But I will say instrumental is definitely, like, I think starting to kind of slowly take over.
Yeah.
Kind of come up.
I was kind of talking about that, like AJ, we had mentioned when we were talking last week, that it's really kind of seen like a rebirth almost with bands like you guys and Animals as leaders and stuff like that. It kind of seems to be taking more of a popular like catch with people for some reason.
Well, I think people are getting bored, man. I think that's all it is like people are actually getting bored with just like the same old crap that's coming out. Like, not just in the mainstream, but even in the underground, it's just like the same rock bands like that. And I'm not saying that I hate all rock bands.
Right.
I don't listen to just instrumental music like everybody assumes.
Right.
But, I feel like people they're just getting a little bit bored. They want to see more talent in music. Obviously, like, Animals as Leaders is more like the virtuoso style, with one guy being like the front of the band and stuff like that. Yeah, and we're more of like everybody has their shining moments, and and then there's tons of other bands out there as well. So it's cool, man, having bands write us like, oh, you guys made me want to be instrumental and blah blah blah. It's like, it's really cool that's we're us and Animals Leaders are kind of like paving the way for everybody right now.
It's kind of it's got to be kind of surreal thinking of it that way for you guys.
Yeah, it's cool. It's really cool.
Kind of speaking of that, kind of that future for you guys. What past this tour, I know we said that we probably like guesstimated like about 19 more shows or something like that.
Yeah, it's about 19.
What do you guys have planned as of now for the future, like the summer or something like that? What are you guys gonna be up to?
March 13th to June 19th, we'll be going out with the Human Abstract. I'm not sure on set support.
Okay. Sure.
But
that's enough to get me to go.
It's a full US. It's a full US tour. So definitely,
okay. Awesome.
Yeah, definitely everybody come out. I don't think there's any Canada dates on this one. There's only one. We're playing Toronto tomorrow on this tour, but I think that's that. And then we're talking about more support stuff throughout the end of the summer. And if nothing kind of comes about, we're going to be doing a headlining tour with a couple of other bands as well, which I can't say anything about right now because we don't really have details. I don't want to get people's hopes up.
Yeah, definitely. Respect.
So maybe a headlining tour, and then we're actually going to Europe for 6 weeks in the fall. So
Awesome. Are there? I know it's really hard, really early to say this, but Do you guys have like a timeline of like when you're gonna be recording new material or something like that? Because I know your new album just dropped, but like
I don't even want to think about that because
some people are wired like that where they're always already looking ahead. But
I mean I'm always writing. Everybody always knows that I'm writing. Anybody who's ever written me, I'm just like I'm always writing. You know, I finished so much stuff before Carving Desert Canyons even came out,
right?
Which was very relaxing. But now we've got 5 months of already planned touring set in stone.
Right.
We've only done 3 weeks now, and we've got like 5 more months total of touring to do on this record that I know of. I imagine we won't be talking about doing like another album until next winter.
Yeah,
I imagine
it's sensible.
So, which is good. It kind of relaxes me since I'm like the core songwriter. I don't want to get
too wired on that.
Having to write really quickly, which I haven't done yet, but we'll see.
Right.
I don't know what'll happen if I'm pressured into writing. Maybe it'll be better.
Yeah.
If I'm pressured to sit down and spend all day writing. So
there you go. Well, I know you're busy guys, so we should probably start letting you go here. But just kind of on a parting note, kind of on a lighter note here. Being the end of March means it's going to be the end of March Madness here, and my pool for the tournament is screwed so bad right now.
Oh, yeah.
But for the Final Four, I believe it's VCU, Butler, UConn, and Kentucky. If you had to put some money down right now to say who wins that, who does Chris Letchford think it's going to be? Who's the champion? A guess is probably as good as anything. Like that's.
Yeah, I know, because. Yeah.
Definitely not DePaul where we go. They were out from the get go, but.
I'm gonna say UConn's gonna take it.
UConn?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. There you have it, everybody. Chris thinks it's gonna be UConn, so we'll see. We'll see if he brings back some bucks here.
Definitely.
Chris Letchford, everybody. Scale of Summit Collective's out now. Check it out. Chris, thanks a bunch, man.
Cool, man. Thanks
Pleasure.
for having me.